Hey everybody, thanks for the feedback about the audio in my last reading. I'm aware that it's not very good and it's really hard to hear, especially if you're listening on a laptop. However, my new microphone that I bought is just not working. I've messed with it for like probably 2 hours total and I need to get a separate part for it to work. So, in the meantime, we are unfortunately stuck with my little microphone that I'm using now. I will try to clean this up in post-production, and I know I sound nasally because I just had bronchitis, so we are going to get through it. But today I wanted to share a download specifically from the Crow Council, which is like my connection to the collective of crows. The crows are like the informants, they're like the secret keepers. And for those of you who are new here, the crows give a lot of information, especially about psychic warfare as it affects humans and animals, and as it affects all of us who are on the ascension journey, specifically here to serve the earth and the animals and plants, to help like reset the ecosystem, so to speak, in whatever way you are here to do that. So the crows were talking about these like low frequency noises, and they were explaining it to me as this is like industrial noise that is intentionally made, and it's intended to eliminate inhibition and impulse control in emotionally distraught individuals. There's a lot of military connections to this. So the military industrial complex, anywhere that they have their tentacles, so to speak, is putting out this noise. This is a noise that most people cannot hear and have no awareness of because it's normally out of the human sound range, is what I'm told. And this sound is something that most animals can hear. It's like, I don't know if it has to do with radio frequencies. I'm not that big on understanding frequencies, but it's like radio in the sense that it can go very, very far away from the place that it has been broadcast from. They're showing me very nondescript buildings. You know, they show it from a crow's perspective, so it's like basically like remote viewing over an area. But they're showing me these large industrial buildings that are sort of unmarked. They look like storage units. I don't know what they are, but they say a lot of sounds are coming out of these. This is in particular in places that have a lot of human contact, is what they said. So if this is somewhere where people don't go very often, you're probably not going to have these noises or be as affected by these noises. Additionally, these sounds can be heard by some people if they're extremely clairaudient. Sometimes spirit will, especially at the beginning of your clairaudient journey, and whenever you're first tapping in, you may hear it as a low humming noise before you go to sleep. That is a separate noise that is outside of your body. If you try to record this noise, it may show up on recordings at times because there is a spiritual element to this. Again, I don't know the physics of how that works, but this is what I'm being told by spirit and by the Crow Collective, is that there's a spiritual component that is meant to lower the vibration of people. This is part of an energy harvest. And there's also a physical element that sort of plays on the animal parts of your brain and removes inhibition in people who are already susceptible. So the main message that I was getting from Archangel Gabriel in regards to this is sort of like a PSA for light workers to pay attention to the people around you who are acting really out of sorts and blaming the way that they are acting on things that don't make sense. I'm being told to remind you that if somebody acts in a way that they find repulsive and then say that they're being influenced by something and it is out of their control, they were already predisposed to that action anyway. Meaning if somebody is blaming spell work, like negative spell work, for example, for, spending their life savings suddenly, they already have a predisposition towards that behavior anyway, whether that's for a medical or psychological reason, because those kind of things can definitely happen, like with manic episodes, whatnot, things like that. But additionally, this is like a step further into the spiritual. I'm talking about people who aren't predisposed in that way. This is like a predisposition of their character or of their spirit. This is not somebody who had manic episodes before and relapsed. Okay, there's no shame in that. I'm not here to shame anybody, especially when it comes to mental health. This is in regards to character flaws, okay, and spiritual. This is a spiritual warfare. So these are people who have never had any kind of issues like that, or any kind of infirmaries that have come up in their life before. And then suddenly they act out of character and blame it on, oh, this person did root work on me, and that's why I acted the way I did, and that's why I ruined this and that and the other. Or this is why I took advantage of you or acted crazy that week. No, I want to tell you that as a practitioner, and this is a download I got from Spirit, that's not how spell work works. Whenever there is an attack on somebody's character, it can only pull out certain threads within the parts of them that were already like that to begin with. It can give them the extra nudge in a direction that they're already wanting to do, but it cannot make them do a thing. That's all Hollywood. So let's pull some cards. I think I've done enough channeling about this. For a lot of you, you're seeing this in people around you in regards to their love relationships and throwing things out of balance. So unfortunately, some of you might have interacted with people who are claiming that, they acted a certain way towards you because of spell work, and that they couldn't help the way they acted. And that I'm being told no. Like, literally the air card comes out. They need to communicate about what's actually happening with them. They need to communicate about how they actually are. Okay. And they also need to be in their wise brain versus their trauma brain or their like emotional brain. And again, this is not in no way to like take away from people's trauma affecting their behavior. This is me speaking about choice and character. Okay. You are at the point in your spiritual journey where you have been developing leadership qualities in whatever way you are meant to be here, because not all of us are here to be readers. Not all of us are here to be like Reiki people or work as a shaman full time or whatever. Like, a lot of you are, I have nurses, I have scientists, I have all kinds of people in my collective. I have lawyers, writers, everybody. Okay. I have people who work in retail. I have people who are bartenders. It doesn't matter what you are. You can use your light work to assist in helping the people around you in whatever way you are here to do that. And it may or may not be through your work. It can be through your work in just how you treat people and brightening people's days, or like sending good energy to them through your interactions or whatever. But it can also be through your personal life and affecting the people in your personal life, right? So I just wanted to say that. But, as you're developing these leadership qualities and your clear communication style, people like this who will come in and not take responsibility for their behavior will affect your prosperity and success. And you have to be really, really vigilant about that at this time, because there is spiritual warfare in this world. It's not something to be afraid of. It's not something that will like take anybody down. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way to do that unless you're already susceptible or you've been raised to be trained to be susceptible for that, which is something I could go into in a lot of detail later. And we will go into that later. There's a lot of readers who talk about this as their main platform. Okay. But if you already have been on this journey for a long time and you have these people kind of cropping up around you, this is a sign to be vigilant about your boundaries. Think about if these people have a place in your life moving forward, and if they have a place in your life where you are taking responsibility for your energy and people start to trickle in where they're not taking responsibility for their energy. Be aware of how that exchange is going to happen. and how much that will take from you over time, how that can affect things. For a lot of you as well, this takes away from your creative passion. So this can be somebody who, for example, is always taking up your time by like sending their traumas or their crisis to you. And I'm not saying that doesn't come up in regular friendship, but this would be like a constant barrage of chaos. That kind of thing will derail travel plans, will derail your creative process, especially if you work as an artist, or your passion towards wanting to be around other people. It will drain the life out of you. Additionally, people like this can affect your ability to trust yourself, because as the relationship erodes over time and as things become more and more out of balance, it's like your powers of concentration get messed up. Any healing that you've done from previous abuse can start to waver because you're starting to move into abuse territory here. These are people who, watch how people interact with the people around them, even if they're not treating you in that way. Watch how they treat their kids. Watch how they speak to their partner. Watch how they talk about their friends. Do they feel comfortable talking about people to you? Did they feel comfortable talking about you to others? Are you hearing about it? Like, are they, how are they viewing their life? And are they bringing more love to you, or are they bringing more destruction? Are they bringing that destruction that they feel in their own life to you and asking you to be there and your life to be in destruction with them so they're not alone? Yeah. Okay, with the divine feminine here, and this could be a work connection for some of you as well. With this feminine energy, for a lot of you, whatever your gender is, because everybody has male, female, neutral, expansive gender energies, okay? But whatever your gender is, a lot of this work that you may be doing on your like receptive energy or on your creative flow energy and your magic, that draws people in, and they're going to want you to like heal their karma so that they don't have to deal with it. And when you take on other people's karma, Spirit's like, okay, here, and they'll give you a lesson that you've already graduated out of, because you are giving them the message that you want to deal with it again through that other person. And you're not able to remove somebody's karma from them, first of all. Like, you'll just be going through it again, and that person will go through it again. And oftentimes they'll like fail whatever spiritual test they're on because they're not learning, because you're shouldering the burden for them. So it's like a huge waste for everybody. Anything else, Spirit? Okay, with shungite here, this could be actually a very good crystal to use to protect yourself from this kind of energy. Or if you are experiencing that like humming noise to the point where, whenever you start to meditate only, you're sensing it or you're like feeling it, because it can come up as like a feeling through your body too, instead of a sound or a spiritual sound. Hold some shungite or use some kind of spiritually protective tool if you feel the need to do that. You can also just, if you don't have the money to get shungite or something like this, you can invoke the energy of shungite by asking its spirit to be with you, because just like animal spirits, crystal spirits also have like a soul that can show up to you, and they're very like angelic in the way that you can call to them and they will come and assist you. This is how the earth helps us. You don't have to like physically be holding a crystal necessarily to have the same interaction with it. So shungite is protection from modern ills. So this can be like that kind of chaotic energy that I was describing earlier. It's also very grounding. It helps to connect all of your energy points back into the earth, especially those that go even below the root, because there are some that are in our feet. There are some that are 10, 15, 20, 100 feet down into the earth. And they're so subtle that people just don't think about them. Even if you are not anywhere near the earth and you live in a high-rise apartment, you are able to ground into the earth because of these very expansive energies that are already in your field that people don't talk about very often. So shungite just helps to keep those strong, keep those activated, and really helps us to be aware of them more so. This also helps with like everyday healing. So if you've been dealing with a cold for a long time, something like this, shungite can be pretty helpful for that too, and just sort of fortifying the immune system. It also talks about purifying. So it will, one of its effects of purifying is actually related to being like an awareness. It's almost like the scales can fall from your eyes in terms of situations that you may not have felt comfortable to see through before, because sometimes it can be very uncomfortable to realize that somebody that we've allowed in our life or a situation that we've allowed to play out has been really detrimental. And you can always change